Hello, Flirties, and welcome to a brand newish episode of Flirtations. The fall flashback series continues, and today we're revisiting an episode from October 27, 2024 with Jemma Sbeg on the psychology of connection and loneliness. Jemma is the creator and host of the wildly popular The Psychology of Your 20s podcast, the #1 psychology podcast in the world with over 80 million downloads, and her first book, Person in Progress, is out now. Stay tuned for the full conversation as we get into the true psychology of connection, loneliness, what drives our relationships, and keep listening all the way until the end for yoga teacher Flirt Coach, as I've got a meditation for embracing connection. All right, Flirties, let's do this and meet Jemma.
I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. Hello, my name is Benjamin. I'm the Flirt Coach and a gay Libra. Everyone has an inner flirt.
Hey, Flirty.
Live, laugh, flirt.
Work the flirt.
Work the flirt. Delulu is the Salulu. Expert on the flirt.
Hey, Flirty. There's always another flirt.
Everyone has an inner flirt. Get out of your head and into the flirt.
Flirties, we have a very exciting and special topic that I cannot wait to get into today, as we're going to be talking about the psychology of connection and loneliness with podcast host Jemma Sbeg. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I love being the guest on people's shows, especially when I know we mesh well. So I'm really excited for this.
Yes, as we did an episode, perhaps unsurprisingly for your podcast, The Psychology of Your 20s, all about, hold your breath, flirting. Yeah.
Surprise. It was honestly such a great episode. I loved it. I was learning so much, which is what you want, right? You want to learn
absolutely
from the people who you speak to. It was great.
It was such a good experience for me. And now I'm so happy that we're continuing this collaboration now on Flirtations, talking about connection, loneliness. I've got some questions. The Flirties really came through. Yeah, so we're going to get going right away. First things first, though, I'd love to have you share a little bit more about yourself and your work with the Flirties.
Oh my gosh, of course. I love that you have a name for them as well.
I do. The flirt community is strong. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I need to do that because I'm the psyches. No, it sounds a bit weird. The psychos, it's incredibly inappropriate.
Yeah,
so it's we got to get there.
You're onto something. You're onto something, though. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll keep testing it. So, yes, I'm the host of The Psychology of Your 20s. It's a podcast where we break down all of the transitions, topics, undergoings of our 20s, whether it's you have a toxic job, or you're not sure if the person you're dating is right for you, or you're trying to discover your dream job, manage anxiety, whatever it is, anything you can think of that you go through in your 20s. I love to find the evidence for what you're experiencing and find the psychological research. I feel a lot of self-help and wellness content is very much this is my opinion. And actually, sometimes that doesn't always work. So the main purpose of The Psychology of Your 20s is to be you're probably looking for answers, and we want you to be looking in the right spot and to find something that will, and is not proven, but is shown to work. So that's what I do. And then on top of a lot of other things, but the podcast is my baby.
Yes. And so good. Over 200 episodes. And I've learned so much. I mean, I am not in my 20s, but doesn't matter. I have still learned so much. I feel if there's a question, if there's a topic, you've talked about it, and it's so well researched. So thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling the love.
It's really, really good. And expert on the show, as we're going to be talking about connection and loneliness. I think I want, because this is the connection, or I say the connection, I put the in front of things a lot as I say the flirt, but connection and the flirt is really my whole thing. It is my #1 mission, and why I do what I do is I hope to empower people, just give them more clarity, confidence, and calm in making connections out there, flirting and dating, whether it's platonic connections, romantic connections. Of course, the connection you have with yourself is going to be paramount as well. And it seems like it should be straightforward, but you bring your past into it, and emotions and history and perhaps some wounds and some difficult experiences. And it all of a sudden gets very complicated. So I'm thrilled to be talking about connection, and then I think perhaps the inverse of that, loneliness, on the show today. So I want to get your perspective first on what is connection, or how would you describe it?
I think connection is at its core one of the essential needs of any human being.
Yeah.
If we are thinking about, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, created by the psychologist, Dr. Maslow. I actually don't even know his first name. That's bad of me.
It's just doctor.
But it's just Dr. Maslow. Yeah. But he basically suggested that we have our basic needs, right? You really need food, water, you really need security, sleep, all of those basic things, oxygen. But then actually the need above all of that we need to thrive and that we need to reach a point of self-realization and self-actualization is community and is connection. And for me, connection is being able to look at someone else and feel seen and feel recognized. And it's being able to feel comforted and being able to feel like you're at home and some part of you is fulfilled, right? So connection obviously comes in so many different forms. You have romantic connection, family connection, friendship connection, connection with your colleagues. But in every single instance where we say, I'm feeling really connected to this person, I think it's because a part of us recognizes ourselves in them, and we can see that they're looking back at us and feeling the same way, and that there is a mutual respect and interest in getting to know each other and in respecting our personhood and in seeing each other as human beings who need love and who need community.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that explanation so much. I see connection in much the same way, where it's this experience, like there's this energy to it. There's this reciprocity to it. There's this element of consideration and almost not quite validation, but just being seen. And it's like when you can connect on something, perhaps like a topic or an interest, a passion, it could be like on an energetic level even, where you just kind of are able to let your guard down and, in a sense, just be you, or at least express a part of yourself. Like, I think that's so much about what connection means to me, where it's like we go around life, just feeling so, for me, shy gay Libra, very much the introvert, none of this is easy. And when I can create moments of connection, it's just like I can almost exhale,
Exactly. And I love what you said about it's easy. It's like it brings a sense of calm. And I also think that connection is like psychologically nourishing in that it reduces how hard life is. You know what I mean? Like, it's, imagine doing everything that you're doing now and doing it alone and not being able to talk to people about it. Or imagine trying to date someone and never feeling a spark, or never feeling like, what would be the purpose of dating or flirting or doing anything if it didn't eventually lead to a close relationship that could hold you up and support you? It's really the foundation of like a lot of the things that we do, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. I'm curious now, from your perspective, what are some of the psychological aspects of well-being that come from connection? Because science has told us it's actually really important to longevity and overall health. So I'd like to hear, why is connection so healthy?
For so many reasons. A lot of people will quote you this study that says that loneliness is as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Yes.
That's like the big one. I think I will putting my scientific hat on. It's not a great way of presenting that information, because obviously like loneliness and smoking affect our bodies in very different ways. But what they're trying to get to is that not feeling connected or not having community is a health risk. It's a health risk because, firstly, when we think about the mental toll that it takes, every single problem, ailment, life stressor that comes your way, you're handling it basically by yourself. And most of us know that a problem shared is a problem halved. So you're carrying the burden of the full problem if you find yourself without that kind of community and safety net that is brought by strong, positive relationships.
Yeah.
I also think that when you have people who love you and who care about you and who you're connected to, you also just want to be a healthier person as well. You want to stick around for longer. You want to like be active. You want to hang out with them. You want to hear their laughter. And it's also the fact that friendship and connection and romance, whatever it is, brings a lot of joy, but it also brings a lot of stimulation. It keeps our minds incredibly active.
Yeah.
It keeps the endorphins and the dopamine flowing. And a lot of people, we tend to see health as like, it's what you're putting in your body and what's coming out.
Yeah.
And it's like, absolutely not. Like being in a perpetual state of loneliness, I think really does lead to a shutdown in a lot of your systems, right? Starting in the brain, extending into the body, impacting you spiritually as well, emotionally, on every single level. So the opposite of that is obviously to be flourishing. And sorry, I'm gonna go on for one more second here.
Yes, please.
I do want to. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, but I will also provide the caveat that this is like prolonged loneliness and prolonged lack of connection. So I think all of us dip into periods of feeling quite solitary or isolated. That is also quite normal as a species to have like your tribe evolves along with where you are in life. So don't be scared or feel like you're suddenly going to develop a chronic heart condition because you don't have a best friend. Like it's not stupid. Or you don't have a partner yet, or you might not want a partner in general. Like there is many other connections that uphold us that sometimes seem invisible.
I love that so much. I want to spend another a few questions here on connection. And this one came from a flirty who is single and has some connections, some friends, but the question was in relationships with family, but had the question was about, is there a hierarchy of connection, romantic versus platonic, you're dating, you're in that committed romantic relationship versus friends. Is connection, or are there levels to it? Are there maybe differences to the types of connection we can experience?
I love this question. Maybe I'm like psychoanalyzing this a little bit, but I feel like maybe this person is like, oh, so am I going to be less fulfilled because I have friends, but I don't have a partner? And like, is this a numbers game? Like, is there a certain number of friends that I can have to create the same connection as a partner? I will say this. I think the older we get, our priorities do shift. And so if you're looking at society, it does look like a romantic connection or connections are the most important because that is the typical pipeline. That's the typical blueprint, right? You start off when you're from like the ages of like 0 to 18, your family is perhaps the most important. They provide the safety net. They provide the nest. Then I would say the period of like 18 to like maybe 25, like your friends are pretty important. They are the most important connection. And then it's all about, you better be finding the love of your life. You better be dating. You better be like throwing everything into these relationships because they should be the one. And then when we get to like our 40s and maybe 50s, like society's like, well, now it's all about the kids. And it's all about the kids, right? So that's kind of what it looks like when we take like a societal lens or blueprint to it. And I have to say, I don't think that that's correct. I think that it's actually, you can be nourished by any number of relationships. There is not one that takes the cake. And to quote another study to you that provides a lot of, not so much, but evidence for this, is that the happiest population in the world is actually single women over the age of like 40. And a lot of them sometimes don't even have kids. And they will say, and they did all these population studies and they were like, who comes out on top? Single women later in life, again and again and again, widowed or just have been single their entire lives. And why is that the case? It's because, and I think this is something that women, have been socialized to do really, really well, is to build community and to be very like overtly friendly and have big social tribes. And so often these older women put a lot into their other friendships, into their platonic friendships, into their relationships with siblings, with work colleagues, with volunteering groups. So no, I don't think that there is one relationship or one connection that comes out on top as the best. I think that additionally, you can't just rely on your partner to give you everything. That is the easiest way to completely lose yourself, right? Like that's the rookie error. A lot of us, I think everyone has done that at some point, and it is a rookie mistake.
Oh, for sure. I know I have.
Yeah, really?
It's just you. Yeah, I've gone so just headstrong into a connection, into a relationship, really coming from this place of just wanting to give it my all. I think it came from a fairly noble place, perhaps, but in the process, really losing myself and forgetting how to just acknowledge what I actually need. And my life became centered around somebody else versus having that balance and focusing more on compatibility, things like that. So I've done it. I have.
Oh yeah, who hasn't?
We have.
Because love feels amazing.
It does.
You're like,
it does.
I know.
This is so fascinating. When I'm doing my flirt search, there's overall this trend around like decentering dating has been talked about. I've featured that topic on Flirtations before, where it's, I think, reprioritizing connections and love and speaking to what you just said, and that there's no sort of one like pinnacle of type of connection, right? That one is somehow better than the other. One is more fulfilling than the other. They all have their advantages and they all have their places.
Absolutely.
It's so fascinating. All right, I have a question now. This one also came with a flirty, as we're talking about connection, digital connection. So about like how you think, or how maybe you've seen, has digital communication and even the dating apps, texting, like it's these tools that are meant to design and bring so much connection into our lives have done that in many ways. That's how we met. That's how I'm able to meet a lot of the flirties and create my content, right? For both of us. But these tools meant and designed for connection have created a lot of disconnection too. And it's this duality that I find so interesting. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on digital connection and where that fits into the picture of connection.
I think digital connection is like incredible.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people like get on their high horses and are like, this is what's creating havoc in society. This is ruining our children's minds. This is ruining love. And I get it. There is something obviously very romantic about the good old days, but this is like, it comes with pros and cons. And I do think that the pros outweigh the cons. It's not to say that it's only pros, right? I will say also, maybe I'm biased, I met my now like long-term partner on Hinge.
Yes.
And I had also met people in person before, like my first like ever serious relationship, I was like his waitress at like a restaurant and his mum asked me out. So like there's something romantic about that story. But I also just think that you take the tools that you have, and if you want to date successfully, you do have to have some kind of digital literacy, and you do have to kind of like lean into it. So I think it's like incredibly valuable to do maybe a mixture of both, like still go out and like have fun and meet people organically, but don't discredit like the benefits of dating apps or knowing how to flirt online. Like it's a skill. I'm sure you've done an episode on that, I hope. But oh my God, it's a skill.
Flirting online. Oh my gosh. I don't think I have. I need to bring that to the flirties ASAP.
You do, because I wish
I'm jotting that down right now.
Yeah, I need to know. Well, I'm kind of out of that space now, but I still need to know, like, how do I do this?
You hang tight, flirties. And Jemma, it's coming. We're going to revisit this question. I have a follow-up that I think more so ties into the loneliness discussion. But a couple more questions here on connection that came from the Flirties. And one is around vulnerability and intimacy and how that plays into connection. Like, I think, like say you are meeting someone just organically in person for the first time and you're sort of chit-chatting about the weather, kind of having that small talk conversation. Like, is that connection? I think it possibly, but how you can take it that next level deeper, some strategies to develop more intimacy and vulnerability and connections when maybe that doesn't come easily.
I really like this question. I think it's very difficult. I'm someone who it comes to the table very vulnerable, but there's like a level that like very few people crack. And I feel like that's the case. Like everyone has parts of them that are like reserved for the people that have made it through a few like obstacles, right? They've made it through a few trial runs.
Yeah.
But I do also think that we work and we find the best relationships and the best connections and the best love when we open ourselves up a little bit. And if that doesn't come naturally, that's okay. But I think start out by letting the other person be open with you. So when you are like having a conversation with someone, leave space for them to elaborate on the things that they would like to elaborate on. Ask like follow-up questions and then provide like one of the core principles of connection and of attraction is reciprocity, right?
Yes.
So when someone else shows you a deepness to themselves, try and go with them. Try and follow along. And it's not like it's this very mechanical exchange of trauma. It should just feel like a natural, like, climbing up the ladder together. You're on the same rung, you're slowly moving up. So like leave space for them to disclose, leave space for them to discuss. I feel like often if you're someone who's quite nervous when it comes to conversing with others, like you just kind of fill the space with chatter.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh my God, I'm so anxious.
Absolutely.
Pause and just leave space for the other person to speak their mind, because often in those moments is when a lot is revealed, a lot of beauty is revealed. Another tip for being vulnerable is to really note that the relationship only goes as deep as you're willing to go. So, and it's not to say that you need to immediately trauma dump to get the relationship going and like artificially speed up that closeness. But if you are like in a serious relationship or you're really getting to know someone and you've hit like a blockade, if you hit this level of like, where do we go from here? Like we're kind of, this intimacy feels kind of shallow now.
Yeah.
Think about how open you have been with your heart and how open you've been with your soul and your core and what you're presenting to this other person. It's not to say that it's no one's fault. And I feel like when I ask people to self-reflect, sometimes they're like, well, it's not my fault. No, it's not your fault. It's really not. But I do think that it's a great gift to yourself if you do reflect on what you've been willing to share with someone else and open up a little bit more. Have you found that to be the case? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love your explanation on that because I get a lot because I get this question around oversharing. It's like, oh, I feel like I overshared on a first date or, even on a dating app before you get to a first date. And you feel like maybe it's coming from a place of anxiety. Maybe you're coming from a place of like, oh, like I really want this person to like me. Or maybe you feel like that's been your pattern where you just sort of put it all out there and it's like, well, if they like me, they'll like me. But I'm like, part of intimacy and vulnerability is using some of that self-reflection to recognize your boundaries and knowing that a lot of this is earned over time. Intimacy and vulnerability is developed. There's no rush to it. You can be patient and you can start at first talking about some interests or passions or things you like or foods or what you watch on TV or entertainment. And so you can keep it really fun and then start to go into some storytelling. Okay, well, a favorite show you had when you were a kid, and maybe that brings up a memory. And then, oh, that relates back to this or that. So here you go, developing that intimacy and vulnerability. And something that I like from the flirt is seeing also the flirt as an expression or an act of service. I love talking about it like that, where if you're having some of those anxiety nerves or you're feeling uncomfortable, you're a shy introvert like me, you can ask some questions first and then be genuinely curious and
Yeah, I really like that.
listen and pause and breathe. And I guarantee more often than not, you're going to find a point of connection, which then allows you to go a little bit deeper. And I wanted to, I have one more question here about connection, as I wanted to give flirties kind of the strategies first, like starting there.
No, please.
And then this question I have now is around some of the challenges that people have making connections, with expressing themselves, maybe that you've seen in your work and doing your podcast. Yeah, some of the challenges, even struggles people have making connections.
I think one of the biggest one is sometimes introversion, right? Feeling like, oh, does making connection require me to be someone that I'm not, and to be this loud, outward person who needs to be present all the time? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, I think people have this misconception that like introversion means that you don't like people. It's like, no, it's just how you get your energy, right? And you can still make beautiful friends and be an introvert. I also think one of the other barriers to connection is that like it's just freaking hard to meet new people and to have the confidence and the time to build a relationship with them. Perhaps that's why our romantic relationships really do take the focus the older we get, because there is an expectation that you can invest a crap ton of time in someone and have that be fruitful, quote unquote. You know what I mean? But actually, when we take that approach with like friendships as well, and like embracing connection and flirting with like within a platonic sense, I actually think that's more rewarding. But it's very, very difficult. I'm going to pop in another study here from Robin Dunbar, very, very famous man who's done a lot on friendship and a lot on relationships. And he has this really fascinating statistic that I think it takes over 200 hours to call someone a good friend. 200 hours, or to call someone like to say, oh yeah, we're close. You know, it takes like 30 hours to just be like, oh yeah, like we're friends, we're friendly. And then in order to get to the point of like being like, oh no, like I really trust this person is in my life, it's like upwards of 200 or 300 hours in my memory. So I don't know about you, Ben, but I don't really have a lot of time to invest 300 hours into anything. Like, it's very hard. It's very difficult. It's why a lot of people, you know, meet the loves of their lives or like their best friends at work, because it's a shared environment. So I think that's also a real barrier for connection is time, is sometimes personality as well, is convenience, is all of those things mixed together, and it just feels like we become a lot more lonely the older we get.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, segueing and perfectly. You set me up.
I was like, I know where this is going.
Transition to talking about loneliness now, as he's really focused on connection. But I also recognize, and this has been true for me, that connection can exist simultaneously along with loneliness too. And so just as, you described connection, how would you describe loneliness?
Oh my gosh. You know, the way I describe loneliness is like you can be lonely in a crowded room. You can be lonely even when you're surrounded by your closest of friends. It's an emotional state more than it is a physical one or a social one. It is an emotional state of feeling perhaps like you are not being seen the way that we feel the need to be seen as humans. And it's a sense of, I think, emptiness and isolation and solitude, even once again when we are physically not that way, right? Even in like a party of all those that you love. I remember actually, this is really random tangent, but I remember watching the Amy Winehouse documentary.
Yes. And
she like talks about how she was on stage winning like Grammy of the Year and every single person that she loved in the room was there, and she said to a friend like, I'm so lonely, or something like that. Like, I'm so lonely. And I think what it comes down to is feeling like there is a depth missing to your current relationships, feeling like there is a level that you're not getting to with people. And it's through no fault of anyone. It's just that sometimes the circumstances create that. And that's one instance. And then I also think that loneliness does also just apply to isolation.
Yeah.
People, especially when I think about like people who've moved to a new city, like just not having people available. But even if you had, amazing long distance friends, you can't communicate in the same way. You don't see each other as much. It's an adjustment. All of it comes down to not feeling seen the way that you want to be seen, and not feeling like there are opportunities for you to kind of fill that void where you are at the present moment.
Yeah. So good. And I think coming full circle for a moment to the digital communication piece of connection, this is where I find it can sometimes create that isolation where you can exist behind your phone screen, and it just I've done it so many times where you're scrolling, or you're watching videos, you're on YouTube, or really any platform. It could even be television, right? You're streaming, whatever. And it's like you're busy, you're occupied, you're doing something, you're even interacting. Maybe you're playing a game, but then at the end of the day, it's there's another element to connection that I think cannot be replaced. In-person connection has its true value as well.
100%. Because it's like when you're seeing someone in front of you and you can like really appreciate like their body movements and their tone and like how they're responding to you, and you can have a hug and like you can feel like their energy and their warmth. Like there is a difference. And the people who know this is like, if anyone has ever done long distance, like I feel like whenever me and my partner occasionally do long distance when I'm away for like a couple months at a time. And I'm sorry, but like your relationship should not be getting better when you're doing long distance. Like, because, and that's like something I always say. I'm like, if your relationship is improving with long distance, you probably shouldn't be together. Like, or you should at least readjust, like how your relationship functions.
It's a conversation to have.
Perhaps, because it's like, you're not having that in-person connection that we all deeply, deeply value. Yeah.
And this is something I've really relied on digital communication as an introvert, as a tool for connection, but I've had to really see it as a tool and not have it be this thing that can isolate me or have me withdraw, which I've definitely used it in that way in the past. All right, I want to ask you this question now from a flirty, and it is, what are some of the daily short-term strategies that someone could use for managing loneliness?
I think that you should remember that loneliness is much like hunger or thirst. It's just telling you that there is a need that you need to fulfill. That's basically it. Okay. So don't be scared. Don't be scared of loneliness. Don't feel like it's unnatural to feel lonely, that it's bad to feel lonely. Don't suppress the feeling. I think really embrace it and be like, okay, I'm feeling lonely. Let's have a look at my life right now and think about why. When was the last time that I really had a really good phone call with a friend? When was the last time that I had people over for dinner, organized something? When was the last time I went on a really, really good date? Am I feeling lonely because I'm feeling hopeless about my romantic future? And maybe I need to take a step back from dating because it's just been like loss after loss, or, I just felt like I'm just hitting a wall. Yeah. There is often a root cause of loneliness that comes down to something in our life that just feels a little bit unbalanced. The same way as, we're not drinking enough water, we're not eating enough food, we're not sleeping enough. Like, are we not connecting enough? So that would be my biggest tip for loneliness. And my second tip would be become the initiator. Sometimes I think we have this natural fear of putting ourselves out there and being like, do you want to be my friend? Like we're kids, or like, do you want to like go on a date with me? It's like, it's so nerve-wracking because you put yourself in a position to be rejected. But the thing is, it's like, who cares? Rejection is like, honestly, the one for me, it's like, great, I was rejected. Like, okay. It's just like, it's almost like it has no emotional connotations for me. Right. It's like you get rejected from jobs, you get rejected from partners, you're going to get rejected like a million times in your life. You may as well start using that rejection for you instead of being scared of it, right? So being like, okay, well, I'm so okay with being rejected that, yeah, I'm going to go and ask this person if they want to have a beer with me, or if they want to go on a date with me, or like if they want to connect, or if they want to jump on a call with me. Use rejection as your superpower. Your lack of fear of rejection can really transform your life. And then finally, I would say for dealing with loneliness, please don't look at anyone else's life and think that you are the only one. And I say this from personal experience because I remember catching up with someone who I hadn't caught up with for a while, just recently, actually, probably in the last 2 months. And he was like, God, you just look so happy. Your life looks so great. You have so many friends. And I was like, I don't feel that way. I feel quite lonely at times. I live by myself. Well, my partner lives here, but he travels a lot, and like, and I work for myself. Like, you have no idea what is going on in someone's life. And the quote I always say is like, yes, someone else's grass might look greener, but it might also be turf. Like, it might also not be real. So
I think those are going to be really, really helpful tips. Thank you for those. I know for me, it's like, the hard part is it's like this feeling of loneliness is like you just mentioned, it can be very physical. Like it can oftentimes be this aching that you feel. And I know for me, it's like the word that's been coming to mind a lot recently is acknowledgement. And when I'm feeling lonely, it's I just want to be acknowledged in some way for the efforts I'm putting forth, for how hard I'm working, for just who I am. And so looking for that acknowledgement, I've really had to catch myself from chasing it and seeking it externally, which I know we go to. I have countless times, and I will countless times more. But when I'm really looking for that acknowledgement, it might be calling a friend, a family member. If you have a pet, like I'll pet my cat, setting up with a comfort show, or cooking myself a meal, like doing something for me just to bring some of that acknowledgement. Like, you're doing a good job. This won't last forever. Something that has helped me recently. I really just have, this has been such an amazing conversation. I just have one more question for you. I like to ask in every episode. I try to get it in there about rejection. We spoke to it a moment ago. So yeah, this final question will be from a flirty who is saying that they are isolating a lot to avoid rejection because they have this fear of rejection. And in turn, right, that self-isolation is leading to some loneliness and lack of connection. So to the person that is, to the flirty listening that is fearful of rejection, some words of wisdom for them.
Okay. I think I spoke on this a little bit more, but I just think that you need to provide yourself with exposure to rejection. So I do get the human inclination to withdraw. I definitely do it, to hermit, to pull back. But I want you to recognize that what you're actually doing is avoidance. And I sometimes compare it to avoiding going to the doctor, right? You're in the moment, really, you feel less stressed because you're not doing the thing that's really, really stressful, if that's for you going to the doctor, if that's for you being rejected. But in the long term, actually, all you're doing is continuing to bolster the fear, to continuing to make the behavior or the action more scary, and missing out on something that's probably really going to help you, going to the doctor, being connected to other people. So I want you to provide almost like an exposure hierarchy to rejection. Make yourself a list from 0 to 100, 100 being the most scary, 0 being something you could do tomorrow, all of examples or situations that relate to rejection. So 100 might be going up to someone in a club and asking them for their number or something like that. 0 might be asking for your receipt at the grocery store, and maybe they say that they can't do it, right? Like, begin to expose yourself to possibilities of rejection and start to see that, yes, sometimes that might happen, but actually you're going to be totally okay and you're going to be totally fine. And actually sometimes it won't happen and you'll be really happy and really surprised.
Yeah. And that sometimes rejection can be sexy. It can be. It means you took a risk, you put yourself out there. It's redirection, it's clarity, it's all the things. But speaking to that, the fear and specifically the avoidance, I don't think I've heard that before. That was going to be really helpful for me. I like that a lot. My goodness, these conversations, I have so much fun with them. Thank you so much, Jemma, for being on the show today. The only other thing I have to ask you is where the Flirties can find you, follow along, listen to your podcast.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Ben. Well, if you want to listen to our episode that we did on my show,
Yeah.
you can go and check it out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening right now. The Psychology of Your 20s is it. We also have like a catalog of any single thing that you think you want to know about your brain, about not even just your 20s, but about the human experience. You can find it by searching for an episode, searching for a subject, or DMing me on Instagram at That Psychology Podcast, and I will send you in the right direction. And Ben, thank you again for having me on. I really love chatting with you. I feel like hopefully the Flirties realize how infectious your energy is through their speakers. Like it's amazing.
Jemma Sbeg, thank you so much for being a part of the show today and the Flirt community. All right, Flirty, what did you think of that interview with Jemma Sbeg? Thank you, Jemma, for being on the show today. And okay, we are not done just yet. A little bit more coming in this episode, as up next, I have a meditation for you all about connection. All right, stay tuned, stay put. That's coming. All right, Flirty, a meditation all about my favorite thing in the world, my mission as the Flirt Coach, connection. So I invite you to begin settling into the space around you, gently blinking your eyes, closed here if that feels okay in your body, starting to take some natural breaths here at any pace through the nose, maybe exhaling through the mouth. And maybe for this meditation, you want to be lying down, putting a pillow or some support, a blanket maybe underneath the back of your head, underneath your knees, getting really comfortable here. Maybe you want to sit up in a chair, grounding down through the feet, placing a pillow perhaps behind the back, giving you some support here, relaxing through the shoulders, hands resting on the tops of the thighs or crossed over your lap. Or maybe you'd like to do this seated on the floor, legs crossed, spine straight. Maybe you come up against a wall or a piece of furniture, giving your back here some support. Perhaps folding up a blanket to place underneath you for some extra support. Even a couple blankets, pillows under your knees here, giving yourself just some space here to really settle in and get comfortable. So as you're setting up here at the start of this meditation, a few more moments, getting out any wiggles, any wobbles, noticing places of stress or tension in your body, perhaps along the brow and the eyes. See if you can relax through your face, through your jaw, allowing the tongue to fall away from the roof of the mouth. Feeling the parts of your body here grounding down into your seat. Maybe you're on the floor or lying down. Fully resting, relaxing, giving yourself to this space, to this moment, to your supports. Relaxing through the shoulders, the hands and fingers, the ankles, feet, and toes. Just seeing how you're feeling today, right now. And with each breath cycle, with each inhale and exhale, letting a little bit more go. You're doing so good. Keep breathing here, inhaling deeply. And exhaling, letting it all go once more. Now I'll cue a few rounds of box breathing for us. Begin by inhaling deeply through the nose. Taking another sip of air at the top, getting really full, holding here for a moment, full lungs. Exhaling through the mouth. And then holding here for a moment, empty lungs. As we inhale to begin again, inhale through the nose. Getting really full, filling your lungs here, feeling this expansion. Holding. And exhale through the mouth, pushing out that previous breath, letting it all go. Resting here, empty for just a moment. Inhale to begin again through the nose. Filling up, expanding, creating space. Hold. Exhale through the mouth one more time. Arriving in this moment even a little bit more deeply. And now sealing the lips, continue to inhale and exhale through the nose now, returning to a natural breath pattern. Maybe feeling a little bit more relaxed here, more centered. Continue to bring your attention, awareness, and focus to this moment. Creating connection here in the present moment with yourself, with this practice. Whatever happened earlier in the day, earlier in the week, what may be coming up on your to-do list today, tomorrow. It will all be there waiting for you. Nothing you need to do now, but be and breathe. Nothing you need to do, but be and breathe. And as you continue to breathe, bringing even more relaxation and comfort into this experience, I want to call upon a few images or even scents that may bring you even more comfort. Maybe it's the smell of a campfire, or you've got some logs burning in the fireplace on a cold winter day, wrapped up in a blanket, cozy socks on, fuzzy pajamas, nestling a warm beverage in your hands. Could be cocoa, coffee, tea. Smelling how good this fire feels. Hearing the crackling of the logs. Maybe there's marshmallows in your cocoa. If that's part of your imagery here, you see them bobbing up and down, starting to melt. Maybe you glance outside and you see a bird flying by, a leaf falling off the tree, a few snowflakes falling down. Just creating this really comforting imagery here for you. And what's comforting to you? What would you like to see? Call that into this experience. Now imagine yourself on a beach or on a porch nearby some water, maybe in a rocking chair. You've got an umbrella overhead shielding the sun from you, yet you still feel the warmth here. Feel the cool breeze brushing up against your body, gently blowing your hair in the wind, maybe your clothing rustling, ruffling a little bit, hearing the ocean in the near distance, smelling the sea breeze, You hear the seagulls and the birds chirping overhead. The gentle sound of the sand dunes moving back and forth in the sea breeze. The air is fresh and fragrant. Maybe you hear some music nearby, some laughing, some conversation of people enjoying the surroundings. Maybe this is imagery that brings comfort to you. And keep breathing here. Deep inhales and deep exhales. And now together, let's visualize standing at the edge of a forest. And just beyond the thick trees, you see a garden. There's a fountain, some flowers. It looks really nice. And you see a bench just there in the distance underneath a large tree that seems so welcoming, providing lots of shade. And you just want to go take a seat on that bench. Feel yourself really grounded in this moment and use this feeling of groundedness to now visualize yourself following along a path that weaves its way through these trees into the garden that you saw. Keep going one step at a time, noticing the surroundings. Off to the side, above you, below you, taking it all in. Breathing. Feeling the connection here with each step you take to the earth below you. This is, in many ways, your journey of connection. And now you start to arrive at this bench and you sit down. And you notice somebody else coming over to you. Maybe this person is immediately identifiable. There's someone in your mind that brings you a lot of comfort. Maybe it's someone you know. Maybe it's someone you've yet to meet. Maybe they take on some abstract features. You don't know exactly who it is, but they feel connected to you. There's a deep feeling of knowing that you're in good company and you're safe here. They're smiling, there's warmth in their eyes. They now sit down beside you, and together you share a moment of connection, an energy, an unspoken bond even. There's a warmth in this experience, a love even flowing between the two of you. And this connection feels strong, it feels nurturing. It provides a source of comfort and joy, knowing that no matter how much time or distance may come upon this connection in the future, that this bond, this energy will always be there. This is always a feeling that you can call back into your life when maybe you are feeling more lonely, feeling disconnected, feeling frustrated, sad, anxious. Allow the body to remember this feeling and know that you can call it back to you whenever you need. As you continue to be here on this bench, you look around and see perhaps a few more people starting to filter into this space. You notice some wildlife, some squirrels, some birds. And this space just begins to fill with life, with sounds, with sensations, and with a deep sense of connection and community. Feel this feeling, internalize it, and allow this feeling to also serve as potential for new bonds, new friendships, new connections, new relationships, and the excitement of shared experiences to come, experiences of understanding, experiences of love. Now take a moment to really connect with yourself here, perhaps even more deeply. Visualize yourself here on this bench. Maybe you've gotten up to walk over. You see someone else you'd like to get to know, a beautiful flower you'd like to smell. There's a sunny spot. You want to go bask in the warmth of the sun's rays for a moment and feel a sense of peace and belonging, knowing that you are an important part of this experience. Reflect here on the importance of being connected with yourself, understanding your needs, honoring your experiences, where you're at, where you've been, where you're going. This is all part of you. Continue to breathe here, allowing this feeling of connection to really fill you up, lift you up from your heart to every corner of your being. And maybe here thinking about the ways you can nurture this feeling of connection in your life, whether it's through acts of kindness, open communication, or simply being present. A few more deep breaths here, taking in all of this feeling of connection, of unity. Deep inhales, deep exhales. Are feeling ready, no rush at all, to begin bringing your awareness back to the physical space around you. You may begin gently wiggling the fingers and toes, wrists and ankles, maybe nodding the head gently to the left and right. Extending the arms overhead, taking a big stretch here, lengthening through the spine a little bit, and then relaxing the arms beside you once more. Gently blinking the eyes open here. Taking a little bit more movement as you begin to orient yourself back to the space around you fully, to go on about your day or your evening, wherever you may be in the world, knowing that you can come back to this meditation at any time. It will always be here for you. I hope this has been a really helpful practice just to bring more connection into your life. And if maybe you're feeling lonely, that you're feeling a little less so now here at the conclusion. Final few moments, thanking yourself for showing up for this practice today, giving yourself the time to be with this experience. Thank you for doing this practice with other flirties all over the world as we connect through meditation. And thank you for allowing me to guide you through this practice. All right. Final send off for this episode coming next. All right, Flirties, that's a wrap on this episode of Flirtations featuring Jemma Sbeg on the psychology of connection and loneliness, another episode in this special fall flashback series of the show. Thank you, Jemma, for being a part of the original conversation almost a year ago and part of the fall flashback series. Flirties, to check out Jemma, her work, the podcast, the book, Person in Progress. It's all so amazing and incredible. I got those links in the show notes below for this episode. And to you, the Flirties, thank you again for being a part of these episodes, these conversations. I love creating them for you. Thank you so much for being here. Please leave some ratings, some love, some support, some comments, a thumbs up, anything, something. Please let me know how you enjoyed this episode, and then share this one or another favorite episode of the show with someone you want to share some BFE, big flirt energy with. All right, y'all. Thank you again so much. And thank you, Jemma. Signing off officially here at Flirt Headquarters. My name is Benjamin. I'm the Flirt Coach and Gay Libra Flirty. Happy flirting.